The cabin lights had dimmed as the plane soared over the Pacific, its passengers settling into the quiet hum of a long-haul flight. In first class, luxury reigned. Champagne glasses clinked, tablets glowed softly, and a few passengers had already reclined their seats into beds. And then, like a thunderclap in a clear sky, it happened. "Mr. Reeves, you have no right to behave like this." The flight attendant's sharp voice cut through the tranquility, startling everyone awake. Keanu Reeves, the global icon of calmness, the man who famously gave up his subway seat to strangers, was now the center of attention. He looked up from his book, a dog-eared copy aft wind up, Bird Chronicle, and blinked in confusion. "Excuse me?" he asked politely, his tone betraying no hint of the scandal everyone assumed he was embroiled in. "You know exactly what you did," the flight attendant spat, her cheeks flushed with anger. She crossed her arms tightly, her posture daring him to deny it. The murmurs began immediately. "Keanu Reeves? Misbehaving in first class?" Whispers floated across the cabin, a mixture of disbelief and morbid curiosity. Keanu set his book down and leaned back, his calm demeanor almost infuriatingly unshaken. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said evenly. "Oh, there's no misunderstanding," the attendant snapped. She gestured dramatically at the overhead compartment above his seat. "I saw you take that bag. You've got some nerve stealing from another passenger." The accusation hung in the air like turbulence. Keanu's brow furrowed. "Stealing?" he repeated, his voice tinged with genuine shock. "Yes. That bag isn't yours." She yanked open the compartment and dragged out a battered leather satchel. Its worn edges and scuffed surface seemed wildly out of place in the polished elegance of first class. Keanu raised his hands in mock surrender, though his expression remained calm. "I didn't touch that bag," he said, his tone measured but firm. "It's not mine, and I don't know how it got there." But the flight attendant wasn't convinced. "Save it," she said coldly. "I don't care how many movies you've been in. You're not above the rules." Just as Keanu opened his mouth to respond, a voice broke through the tension. "It's mine." Everyone turned to see an elderly man shuffling forward from economy. His clothes were rumpled, his face deeply lined, but his eyes held a quiet dignity. "That's my bag," he repeated, looking between the flight attendant and Keanu. The flight attendant froze, her cheeks turning crimson. "Oh, I see," she stammered. I thought." But the old man didn't let her finish. "I asked this gentleman to put it up there for me," he said firmly. "My hands aren't as strong as they used to be." Keanu nodded slightly, confirming the man's story. The flight attendant's composure crumbled as realization dawned. She'd just berated one of the world's most beloved celebrities for an act of kindness. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know." Keanu, ever gracious, waved a hand. "It's okay," he said with a small smile. "Misunderstandings happen." But before anyone could move on, something unexpected happened. The old man, now clutching his satchel protectively, looked up at Keanu with tears welling in his eyes. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for helping me." Keanu placed a reassuring hand on the man's shoulder. "No thanks needed," he said warmly. "I was happy to help." But the moment wasn't over. From the back of the plane, a woman in economy stood up, her voice trembling with anger. "Are you serious?" she called out, addressing the flight attendant. "You yelled at him for helping someone? What kind of service is this?" The murmurs grew louder, passengers from economy and first class alike beginning to chime in. "Yeah, that was uncalled for," someone added. "He didn't deserve that." The flight attendant, now visibly shaken, apologized again, but the damage was done. As the crowd's indignation simmered down, Keanu turned back to the old man. "Sir," he said gently, "would you like to switch seats with me? First class is more comfortable. You should enjoy it." The old man's mouth fell open. "Oh no, I couldn't possibly." "Please," Keanu insisted. "It's a long flight. I'd feel better knowing you're comfortable." The old man hesitated, glancing back at the cramped seats in economy, then at the luxurious first-class seat Keanu was offering. Finally, with Keanu's encouragement, he nodded. "Thank you," he said, his voice breaking slightly. As Keanu helped the man settle into the seat, the passengers around them couldn't help but applaud. Hours later, As the plane began its descent, a curious passenger from economy leaned over to Keanu, who was now nestled in a middle seat near the back of the plane. "Why'd you give up your seat?" the man asked. "I mean, you're Keanu Reeves. You didn't have to." Keanu smiled, a little sheepishly. "That man," he said, nodding toward the old man in first class, "is Dr. Nakamura. 30 years ago, he developed the treatment that saved my sister's life when she had leukemia." I recognized him the moment he walked onto the plane. The passenger's jaw dropped. "Wait, so you gave him your seat because..." Keanu shrugged. "Because I wouldn't be here without him. It's the least I could do." By the time the plane landed, the story had spread through the cabin like wildfire. Keanu Reeves, already beloved for his humility, had once again shown that true kindness isn't about fame or recognition. It's about gratitude. It's about treating every person, celebrity or not, with the respect they deserve. As the passengers disembarked, many took a moment to shake Keanu's hand, thank him, or simply offer a smile. And as Dr. Nakamura left the plane, his weathered satchel slung over his shoulder, he paused to look back at Keanu. "Thank you," he said one last time, his voice heavy with emotion. Keanu just smiled. "Thank you, doctor." In life, it's not about the seats we occupy or the misunderstandings we face. It's about how we choose to act when it matters most. And on that flight, Keanu Reeves reminded everyone that kindness, no matter how small, has the power to transform even the most turbulent skies.